With the launch of Black Myth Wukong and its massive commercial success, dozens of Chinese studios saw the opportunity and are now lining up to drop their own single-player titles over the next few years. Media believes this new wave of Chinese games is going to change the landscape of the global gaming industry. I've handpicked 10 single-player games that are currently in development and are hopefully hitting shelves soon. I've broken them down into 3 categories: action RPG, action adventure, and open world survival RPGs. Let's take a look.
My lord, he's here.
Let's hit the first one, Swords of Legends. It's based on Chinese mythology and folklore. The game puts you in the role of a judge of the underworld, a character who is already dead, and your job is to guide lost souls. It's all about ancient myths and monster folklore. There's a cool summoning system that you can literally call on guys like Oxhead and Horseface. They're these legendary underworld guardians. You can even team up with them to do crazy combo moves. One of the things I like about it is that you can turn monsters into little paper figures and summon them later on to fight for you, just like the ox and horse guys. A bit like Pokemon system and combining attacks with the summoned creatures. For weapons, it looks like we'll have a few options: a longsword, a spear, and a greatsword. Plus, you get these magical artifacts, or Bao Bei, a fire summoning umbrella and something that can bind enemies, which are pretty cool. The combat reminds me a little of the Souls-like feel, but it says on their site that Swords of Legends is neither a Souls-like nor a fully open-world game. The gameplay structure is closer to a wide linear experience. The combo of weapons, magic, artifacts, and potions could give us a lot of ways to get through tough fights. Just a heads up. If you try to Google Swords of Legends, you might see a bunch of older games. Don't worry about them. They're part of the same universe, but this new game is a totally standalone story, so you won't be missing any plot. They've been working on it for about 2 years now, and I'm really hoping we get to play it around 2027. When we talk about Chinese games, you have to mention Black Myth Wukong. While many fans were expecting news or DLC for Wukong, but then at Gamescom this year, Game Science gave us the second game in the series, Black Myth Wukong. For now, all we have is a single cinematic trailer. No gameplay yet. No other details. So all our excitement is really just because of Wukong. In Chinese mythology, Zhonghui is like a badass Ghostbuster god. He's got a rough look, super strong, and he can command an army of 80,000 ghost soldiers. He's often seen with 5 bats, which symbolize the 5 blessings. As the king of ghosts and an expert at hunting demons, his whole job is to hunt down and get rid of demons. Besides the sword we see in the trailer, Zhonghui is said to have 10 magical artifacts. Think of things like the purple gold gourd that sucks up and refines demons, similar to the medicine gourd in Wukong, a soul hooking rope to capture spirits, and a ghost beating whip that can force ghosts into their true form. It seems Zhonghui won't be limited to just one weapon like Wukong. However, in Black Myth Wukong, we didn't play as Wukong himself, but rather a destined one. So it's possible we won't actually be playing as Zhonghui either. There's just not enough info yet. Game Science always drops new trailers on August 20th, so I wish to see some actual gameplay next year. I'm going to be following the Black Myth series super closely. Since they just released Wukong in 2024 and only just showed this CG trailer this year, it's a long way off. AAA games usually take 4 to 5 years to make, so we probably won't be playing this until 2029 or so.
Let's go.
And here's another one that's not just a CG trailer. We actually have some gameplay. Tides of Annihilation is inspired by King Arthur, but it's set in this twisted modern world. You play as a survivor named Gwendolyn in what looks like a supernatural invasion. The game world has 2 parts. You've got familiar modern London with Big Ben and all the famous landmarks, but they're all messed up and taken over. Then you've got this other dimension with ancient magic and huge mythical creatures with King Arthur's influence everywhere. The best part though is the combat. It's not slow and methodical, it's fast-paced, Devil May Cry style. You can summon up to 2 ghostly knights to fight right alongside you. Each knight has a different job. One can charge in, another can defend, and some help you string together crazy combos. They even have elemental power. I mean, who wouldn't want to fight with the Knights of the Round Table? Plus, we've seen clips of fighting giants while riding a dragon. We got our first look at the gameplay and UI earlier this year. There are some rumors it might come out in 2026, but nothing official has been confirmed yet. We don't even know how long it's been in development. But here's a huge piece of good news. Tencent has invested in this game. That puts it in the same league as other massive Chinese titles like Black Myth, Wukong, and Phantom Blade Zero. Wukong is great, and those other games look amazing. I really hope this one gets the time it needs to be just as good. Are we going to get that sword in the stone moment? And what about Merlin? Can't wait to see how they bring this whole world to the game.
Upset with me?
Shadows vanished, and
There's a game that was originally planned to be a free-to-play game for all platforms, with a team of 120 people. Then, its parent company decided to switch to a one-time purchase, single-player title, and the team was cut down to just over 20 people. And this is what they're making. Ballad of Antara. It's a Souls-like game from a studio called Tipsworks. And when I saw the gameplay and the UI, I could not believe this was ever meant to be a free mobile game. It looks way too good. And that makes sense because Tipsworks also made Pascal's Wager, which was a fantastic single-player Souls-like that came out on mobile and then PC and Nintendo Switch. It was a really well-made game with awesome map design, great boss fights, and it could be the best Souls-like single-player game on mobile. The new game's story is set in a fantasy world that's being taken over by some ancient evil force. You're traveling with this girl Jomu, and you can recruit these powerful characters called emissaries. They're basically superheroes with different abilities. When you build up a team for 3, you can swap between them on the fly to use their unique classes. So you might have a guy with a huge shield for defense, and then you can instantly switch to a character with a staff for magic attacks. It also looks like a small-scale open world, which is awesome. But here's the thing. It's been a year since we've seen a new video. The original plan was to release in 2025 as a free game. Now that it's a normal single-player title, we have no idea when it's coming out, and we don't know how different it will be from what we've seen, or even if the project is still going strong. I really hope they can pull it off and deliver another high-quality game. Wukong Sword, an ARPG that mixes Chinese mythology, steampunk vibes. The story comes from this wild legend about a guy named Bai Yuan-gong. He got drunk, accidentally revealed a heavenly book, and unleashed a disaster of monsters that's been going on for 1,000 years. The game takes place in this world where people had to start developing mechanical technology like her leg and the one on her back for blades to survive. Does this game remind anyone else of Wuchang Fallen Feathers? They look pretty similar, since both are set in Sichuan and use local folklore. But the big difference is that while Wuchang has a bunch of different weapon types, Wukong Sword is strictly about one thing: sword. You get to use single-hand swords, long swords, and great swords. That's it. And Wuchang is a pure Souls-like game, but combat in this game is a bit different. You don't have a stamina bar. Instead, you have another bar for your blade durability. Every time you attack or block, it goes down. If it hits 0, your sword will bounce right off the enemy and you'll do less damage. That's when you have to quickly switch to a new blade to get back in the fight. And just like in Wolong, there's a perfect parry mechanic. If you time your block just right, you can completely neutralize an enemy's attack. The producer even mentioned in an interview that this isn't a huge open world game, and it's not a Souls-like. The combat is more like a fast-paced Chinese kung fu style, lots of dodging and counterattack. They had a demo at Gamescom, and it's already got a Steam page you can check out. There's no official release date yet, but the team is aiming for a 2026 release. There are many games funded by Tencent. What about other big companies in China? So here we go with one of them, NetEase. NetEase is an absolute giant in the Chinese gaming world, but they're mostly known for MMORPG or mobile game. Well, now they've announced their first proper dedicated AAA single-player game. The game is called Blood Message, and it's set in late Tang Dynasty China and based on a true story. Blood Message is the English name of it. It's actually called Return to Tang as its Chinese name. You play as one of 10 ordinary messengers, not a superhero, trying to cross a war-torn land to deliver a vital message that could save your homeland, which belonged to the Tang Dynasty but occupied by a foreign empire for decades. The game has been in development since 2021, and the quality of the latest trailer is absolutely phenomenal. The studio is very clear about the visuals. The entire trailer is 100% recorded in engine with 0 CG content, as the studio mentioned. About 30% of what you see is direct gameplay, just without the UI, and the other 70% is real-time cutscene. The developer has been very clear about what this game is not. It's not an open world game, and it's not a Souls-like. Instead, they are focusing on a purely narrative-driven, single-player experience with linear storytelling, much like what you'd see in The Last of Us or the newer God of War titles. The core is realistic and brutal close-quarters melee combat using the real Chinese weapons, mixed with adventure and puzzle elements. If you ask me, the game feels more like the combination of combat from Ghost of Tsushima and blending it with the sheer narrative focus of Uncharted. I mean, this is absolutely a day one purchase for me. It's expected to release on PC and consoles. We don't have a release date yet, but since they've been developing this game for 4 years, I think we're not far off from seeing a demo or even a release date. When we talk about Hong Kong police, what would be the first one in your mind? Unfortunately, not him, but there will be a game for you, the one in a genre we don't see enough of. A 2-player co-op action-adventure game. It's called Dual Fire Walled City. It looks so much like a Hong Kong action movie from the trailer. Even the actors. The story follows 2 people who grew up in the gritty, lawless, walled city of Hong Kong. This sort of place is basically full of unlicensed doctor, poor, drugs. As adults, one of them becomes a cop and the other becomes a gangster. This game immediately reminds me of Sleeping Dogs. It's a huge shame we never got a sequel for that game, so I'm hoping this one can scratch that itch more or less. When you talk about co-op action games, you have to mention the amazing work done by Hazelight Studios with games like It Takes Two, A Way Out, and Split Fiction. Those games are awesome and have won a ton of awards, but the developers are an indie team, and you can see a noticeable difference in the character models and animations. This might even be their very first game. Just look at the recommended PC specs. Anyway, I would really like to see this game come out. The most important things for a game are always about gameplay and its creativity. The game is already on Steam and is set to release in winter 2025. We won't have to wait long to see if it lives up to the hype. Virtuos, the gigantic company that helps make half of the AAA games you play, like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Stellar Blade, and is making their own single-player game. So this is a big deal. Its Chengdu studio has revealed an in-house developed AA level game, Tang Legends: Silent Strings. This is a first-person action stealth game set in Tang Dynasty, China. You play as a character named Yu Qi, who is basically a secret assassin disguised as a gentle pipa musician. She was trying to retire and live the peaceful life of a traveling artist, but her little brother disappears and now she's totally forced back into the game to find him. You have your typical assassin stuff, stabbing people with daggers, sword fights, and a crossbow. But the star of the show is the pipa she carries. It's a magical lute that can mess with the rules of the world. You see in the trailer, she uses it like a grappling hook to fly around. But here's the kicker. It looks like she can freeze enemies or even mess with time. If you're a fan of Dishonored, you're probably already hooked because the producer is a fan of Dishonored and BioShock. We know what kind of gameplay vibes they're going for, but just a story in the China Tang Dynasty. To be honest, the gameplay footage still looks a little rough. It gets a bit stuttery sometimes. We don't have a lot of info. I like the Assassin Ninja staff, and it's set to be released on PC. We can hopefully get our hands on it around 2026. Peaks and Tides, an ARPG mixed with open world survival, adventure, and building. The whole thing is inspired by the Shenhaijing, or Classic of Mountains and Seas, which is basically an ancient Chinese encyclopedia of crazy monsters and weird, wild geography. The developers want to bring those famous mythical creatures and landscapes right into the game. The announcement trailer showed off all the basic survival stuff, farming, building, mining, but also some incredible mechanics. They totally have an Ultra Hand thing going on, letting you combine 2 different items to make weapons. You also get elemental physics with fire, water, and wind for puzzles and boss fight. It looks like they pulled ideas from every big game out there, and the open world ambition is huge, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. The gameplay demos they showed at Gamescom in Tokyo, like a game show, prove the game is still in an early stage. There are the core building and combat in the cool environment physics, like breaking a water tower to flood an area, but it was obvious too early to tell. The minimum PC requirements they've listed on Steam are insane. Let me tell you, that's a gigantic red flag. Either they've got a ton of work to do on optimization, or you've got a lot of money to upgrade your PC. And what make the scope even crazier, the rumor is that every single monster in the game is going to be tameable, and you can use them for both crafting and combat. If that's true, this project just got exponentially bigger. We have no idea when this thing is actually coming out. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. The game will be released on Steam. And if they can get this game out in the next few years, it will be a massive win for everyone who loves survival builders. Right from the trailer, you can tell that the bustling world has a unique, distinct art style, almost like a Chinese painting you can see in the museum. The game throws you into an ancient Chinese mainland where you can live a peaceful life with farming sim-style gameplay. Things like survival, farming, animal husbandry, hunting, trade, and building houses. Then it switches gears to include daily life simulation, like working jobs, hosting guests, setting up street stalls, and exploring the seedier parts of town, the flower, firework, and red light area. It also with action RPG elements like combat, stealth, theft, raiding, and bandit suppression, plus city management and simulation aspects, such as presiding over court cases, city planning, enacting policies, expanding territory, and diplomacy. And you know what? That's only part of the game. This is going to be another we have everything game. As for the game's massive scope, the producer revealed in a February live stream that the size of the game already exceeded 100 gigabytes. And that was before voice acting, and a lot of sound effects were even added. They're even planning to release a story editor after launch. Initially, the bustling world was developed by just the developer and his wife. They went full-time on it for 4.5 years. As the project ballooned, the team has now grown to over 40 people and is still expanding. However, I'm sure a lot of people share my skepticism. A rookie startup team's first project is an open world game that blends this many mechanics. It feels like another attempt at a GTA style clone of everything, and I'm not sold. High freedom games like this often release with major issues like poor optimization and a mountain of bugs, just too common in the industry. It's one thing to include both small scale personal gameplay, like farming, working a regular job, or even being a beggar, and large scale simulation, like building a nation or managing state affairs. It's not hard to implement the features, but making them actually fun is the real challenge. What do you think? Is it ambitious or just over ambitious? The game is currently scheduled for a 2026 release and is already listed on Steam. These are the most anticipated Chinese single-player games coming out in the next few years. The only bummer is most of them don't have a clear release date yet. We're talking big AAA titles like Black Myth Wukong. We've also got some incredible stuff cooking from indie studios. I'm gonna keep a close eye on all these titles and their updates, so hit that subscribe button if you're interested. I'll see you guys in the next video.